So my name is Cassie. I grew up in Sonora, Georgia. I have two wonderful babies who are Jackson and Penny Joe. When I was 4 years old, my mother packed me and my brother up in a car and a friend, and it was well after midnight. She had been drinking and had several drugs in her system, and I was the only one wearing a seatbelt. When she lost control and hit the tree, my brother died instantly. My mom lived for about 6 weeks, which left me as a spinal cord injury, incomplete L3-4. I spent about 2 months in the hospital after that, and then was able to come home with some broken legs and a broken nose and lots of outpatient therapy. I had to walk in leg braces 3 out of the 5 days a week, which was horrible at school. I still continue to do physical therapy 3 days a week all the way until I entered high school. I think being a child versus being 16 or 17 or you're in your 20s and 30s made it much more easier for me to accept who I was. But I grew up my whole life just praying that I would walk, or crossing my legs like an able-bodied person, or, you know, putting my hands on my hip when I stood there because that's what normal people did. At times it was difficult. I mean, I couldn't even watch a dancing movie, you know, without getting sad because I wanted to do that or I wanted to look like them. Without my family and friends, I definitely would have been lost. My mom was at Atlanta Baptist, and then I was all the way across Atlanta at Eggleston. And so my aunt and my uncle and a few other family members had been visiting my mom and walked outside, and they were standing in the parking deck just having a conversation, and my aunt happens to look down, and it's a folded up piece of paper, and in blue crayon it had Cassie written on it. And when my aunt looked down and picked it up, she opened it, and it was a coloring page out of a kid's coloring book Bible. And it was Jesus manning the storms. It was definitely a sign of comfort that my family needed. Nobody else in my family was in a wheelchair. Nobody else in my family, I guess, really had a tragedy like this, and it was like their whole world was just flipped upside down. And just finding this little piece of hope that somehow miraculously found its way on the garage parking deck, you know, where my family stood, just really was what they needed at that time. And it really showed my family that God is always in control and that everything was going to work out. If you were to ask me if there was any limitations to my wheelchair, I would say no. That God has proved to me that if you put your mind to something, there's nothing you can't do. I would say forget about the small stuff, forget about the makeup, forget about the clothes and the hair, make your friends, make time with them, make time with your family. Be yourself. Love people, accept people for who they are, and be a good friend. Always push your friends to better themselves. Don't let them get stuck. Take time out of your life to do things for others. Don't just worry about what makes you happy or what's fun. Do things because it's the right thing to do. So my name is Cassie. I am a L3-4 incomplete spinal cord injury. His promises are true. And even though I had lost my mom and my brother, I had a wonderful aunt and uncle and 2 cousins that became my family. They are my brother and my sister. And now on Mother's Day, instead of just remembering my mom, I get to celebrate with my kids being a mother as well.